The Paul Ryan Show presents Advanced Anti-Aging and Your Total Health with health celebrities Dr. Robert and Shelley Redford Young. And now, here's your host, Paul Ryan.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our host for this afternoon. He's incredibly handsome, charismatic, traveled the world, an international supermodel, very much into health, into loving, into caring, an incredible human being, all put into one particular person. How God created this one person is unbelievable. But he's here today. Put your hands together, please, for Paul Ryan. No reason to stand up. Please, sit. Sit, thank you very much. One person out of 100. And he's French, so he's polite, so that's the way it works. So glad you're all here. We're all here to celebrate our health. Yes? Let's congratulate ourselves for our wonderful health, which allows us to be here. And then my own personal journey, health is about mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. The balance of all four of those aspects hits a home run for us in our everyday lives. And so just by being here, you're showing up and saying, I honor my health. These two people, you missed the beginning, was incredible, by the way. I was hysterical, really. People were rolling in the aisles. But we'll play back a little later on. So my own personal journey in health, I grew up rather quickly. I grew up in Philadelphia. That was my first third of my life. And then I ate everything that was Philadelphia, Yoo-Hoos and tasty cakes and all of that. My mother's looking over there. I was there. I know what he ate. And then I moved to England when I was 15, which was 3 years ago. And I ate another kind of way of eating, starchy, and there's a sweet shop every 3 yards in England. So if you missed a candy bar over here, you could get it over there. And then I started, you live in England, there's pubs and you drink and all that kind of stuff. But I came out to California and I thought, I heard this phrase and it was a natural high. And that was so inviting to me because there was something calling me inside saying, you can do it naturally without anything else, without anything interfering. So I just love being just a sort of a clear channel for what is actually there. And it's an exciting journey. And so I have been inspired by so many great health aficionados along the way, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And, we live in a city, we live in an area, we live in a state that is so open for growth, for our own inner growth. And how I met the Youngs is an interesting story because I was at a longevity expo by David Wolf a couple of years ago. And I met a lady who was selling expensive pots and pans. And we started talking, and I really didn't have any interest in buying expensive pots and pans. But she was fascinated. She was talking, and then she was saying something about Dr. Young, and I said, and when you get that click inside? Like, I have to meet those people. Who are those people? I have to meet the Youngs. So I did. And Shelley Redford Young was a guest on a talk show that I produced called A Braveheart View, and she was a great guest, and she came with her husband, and they invited me down to the ranch, which was a real eye-opener. It's you take the 5 to the 10 to the 22 to the 17 to the 3, and then you cross a bridge, and then you go on the 17 to the 19, and you take a helicopter to the ranch. It's so simple to get there. No, you take the 5. I figured it out. And it's an amazing, amazing place. And they are an amazing couple because I met all kinds of great health people. But they're like the Babe Ruth, the Barry Bonds. There's a seat right over there. Right over there, there's a seat. Because some people come in a room and they're looking, is this row? Do I want that row? I'll take that row. Maybe this isn't the row I should be on. But you're all happy because you're in the front row, yes? Okay. So I went to the ranch and I had a microscopy test by Dr. Young. And he was an amazing doctor. He has an amazing purpose in life. He saves people's lives. He reverses disease, and that's pretty incredible. And they have many books together, Dr. Young, Dr. Robert Young and his wife Shelley. And not only does he call his wife, but he also calls her his best friend. which I think is really terrific and shows a lot as a human being. So they do a lot for reversing disease, keeping people as healthy as possible, preventive, which shouldn't even be called the word preventive, because it's our birthright to be as healthy as possible. So they're the authors of many, many great books and videos, and it's a real honor to have them here today. And I've been to the ranch 3 times, and I said, I've got to introduce you to a lot of people in LA and Beverly Hills, and that is today. So thank you for all for coming, and it's a great pleasure to have Dr. Robert and Shelley Redford Young.
Thank you.
Now, because we're in Beverly Hills and Hollywood, the big question is, are you related to Robert Redford?
We are cousins. We're not kissing cousins, but we're cousins. Our great-grandfathers are brothers.
Wow.
If that helps.
Yes, and you're related to Brigham Young.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Great-grandfather?
Yes. Well, not great-great.
Great-great.
Yeah, great-great-grandfather.
Which is better than being not-so-great-grandfather.
Right.
So what drew you into health? Because your background is science. So what brought you into health?
I think my interest in not just health but fitness too as well. And so I came out of a family of sport.
Tennis.
Tennis. And we were very much into improving the level of performance, athletic performance. And so fitness was a very, very important thing for me. It was important for my coaches too as well. I remember in the 60s when my coach introduced vitamin supplements, and I thought that was a crazy idea, especially after we saw Space Odyssey, and they were eating little capsules of food. I'm going, oh, this has already arrived in the 60s. So we started taking vitamins. But I'll never forget that whenever my energies on the tennis court waned, anytime that I just felt totally fatigued, I was given a little yellow pill. And that little yellow pill was a salt tablet. And so we would take these little salt tablets with water, and after taking the salt tablets, I would be perfectly okay. And so I was introduced at a very, very young age to alkalizing, and I didn't even know it. Just taking salt was very, very important. And the health thing came later, but my interest in biology, human physiology, later into hematology, and then later into nutrition too as well, and it seemed to all couple together.
Because you talk about and I never really understood this, because I've been involved in health for a while, that the key to your health is your blood, and the pH balance of your tissues and your blood. Can you explain what that means and what actually is pH?
Yeah, pH is, most of us are familiar with the pH of a swimming pool or our fish tank. We know that the pH scale goes from 0 to 14, with 7 being neutral, and our blood is slightly alkaline at 7.365. Our blood tissues, our rivers and streams, internal rivers and streams, have a pH. That's how we're engineered, just as our temperature is engineered at a certain temperature, 98.6.
So pH stands for?
The power of hydrogen.
In the blood?
Yes.
So naturally it's 7.3.
7.365 to be exact. Yeah.
Everybody have a 7.3?
You write that down?
One over here. So what does that mean if it's not that? You're not feeling well?
Yeah, well, most of us are eating too acidic, and so we're constantly bombarding our bodies with acidic foods and liquids, which affect the internal environment, which pull our pH down. Doctors know that if the pH varies just a little and goes down, that we're experiencing sickness and disease. They also know something's up if our pH goes up higher, but our blood is maintained quite generally at 7.365. The way that we can monitor ourselves is through our saliva or our urine, and that gives us a good indication of where we are in tissue acidosis that lingers through the night or from the previous day of eating and drinking.